Hey legends, so on today's episode of the Chasing Better podcast, we are actually going to do a bit of a change up in terms of scenery. We're going to be doing it here in the gym and we're doing a workout and we're just going to be chatting shit while we go. So my awesome guest today is Miss Angela. Hey. So Angela's been a client of mine for about 2 and a bit years now, which is fantastic. She's going on a massive journey of self-discovery in the next coming months, which is really cool. So we'll have a chat about that today as we train, and we'll find out a bit more about her now. So tell us a bit more about yourself, Ange.
I'm a mum of 2 boys.
Yep.
Before training with you, I didn't exercise at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather drive everywhere than walk up the road for a coffee.
We've all been there.
Never really entered a gym to do proper exercise.
Yep.
And it was quite intimidating sort of coming in and looking at all the weights and thinking I was very out of place.
Yep.
And now it's my second home, sometimes feels like more like home sort of thing.
Yep.
Being able to come in, and I love it. It's something I do every day.
Yep.
And I couldn't imagine my life without it, so.
Awesome. Good as shit.
All right, what's on the agenda today, Coach?
So we're doing a little bit of an upper body workout. It is Friday here in downtown Mandurah, so I've got footy training tonight, so I'm making sure I look after the tree trunks this morning and not bumping them too bad. So something I usually work on, obviously because we are doing upper body, starting off with some mobility work to start with, just getting some blood flow through. So my go-to is working on some dislocates. Now again, for those playing at home, if you are a flat out beginner, you've got tight shoulders, all that sort of stuff, you might not be able to get that entire range. So the great thing is you can always just go to what your current ability is. Now I've seen some people come in here on day one and they can't get their hands even just to the top of their head. And again, just doing that is still going to prime and start warming up those shoulders, alrighty? And then eventually over time, we can generally get past the head and then eventually all the way around. The second one I usually throw in is some figure of eights or round the worlds, whatever you want to call them. Again, the fitness industry is great because there's like a billion different names because a billion different people have done the exercise, right? So with these ones, we literally just go high with one arm and then we just go all the way around, nice and steady. I usually do 5 to 10 reps each way. And again, just looking to get that movement in the shoulder. And again, do as best as you can. Bands come in handy for this because they allow that little bit of movement flexibility. And then the last one I usually do with the bands is just our pull apart. So again, staying with the straight arms, we come out to the side. We're just getting that movement through the back of the shoulders. Nice and steady. Cool. The second one I usually throw in is just to start getting some weight into the hands. And again, you only have to go light with this one. I've banged on about this one before, but you can now see us actually putting it into use. So we're just priming the shoulders, having the arms straight out to the side. We usually go 10 reps up, controlling the weight, back down to the floor. Nice and steady. Making sure we hit that squeeze in the muscles. And then we go down by the hips. Again, keeping the arms straight, tension through the shoulders, and controlling that weight back to the floor so we're not slamming. And then we just finish off with palms up. And again, doing the same. This one really cooks the triceps when you get onto the bottom one. Which is good. Just make sure they're all lightened up, ready to go. Nice and steady. Sweet as. Now all of a sudden with those couple of things, we're getting some blood flow through. The arms are starting to feel warm, the shoulders are feeling warm, and we're ready for our upper body workout today. So, to give you a quick rundown of what we got, guys. Again, we're going to be smashing out heavy. We'll see how Miss Ange goes today. I know she's excited. She's smiling behind the camera back at us. So the idea is we're going to try and get through 6 rounds of these exercises at 10 reps apiece. So what we're going to start off with, we've got a seated shoulder press. So again, you set the dumbbells, and again it'll be pressed tall, and then controlling that weight for our 10 reps. After that, we've got our barbell bicep curls. Again, you can use dumbbells. If you can't use the barbell, that's fine. I usually just lean slightly forward for this one, and then just focusing on big range through that elbow joint for our 10 reps. After that, we're onto the light grade dumbbells. for some lat raises, so chest nice and tall. Just coming out to the horizontal for our 10 reps. After that, we've got some barbell tricep extensions, so we want to think tall arms to the roof, bending through the elbow, and trying to keep the elbows as best together at the front as we can. We'll smash out our 10, and then we finish off with some rear delts. So we grab those same dumbbells again, bum to the wall, arms out in front, and we fly in the reverse. Cool. Let's see how that goes. So Ange is getting stuck in today. Question 1 for today, Ange. Can you remember what it was like day 1 walking into the gym? Run us through how that felt.
It was pretty, it's nervous. You walk into something you've never done before.
Yep.
And a bunch of these weights lying around, think you can't pick any of those up.
Yeah.
In an environment you've never been in before, and you just think you're being judged by everybody.
Yep.
And everybody's watching your every move. That was
Yep.
day 1.
Comparing day 1, so say if you had to do shoulder press 2 years ago, what sort of dumbbells do you reckon you were using?
I would have been on like 4s, 3
Yeah,
or 4s.
so definitely not 8s to 10s.
8s to begin with, yeah.
Yeah,
First
nice.
session, to
Yeah,
warm
yeah.
up. Yeah, definitely not.
Very cool. Awesome, man. So onto our bar. A good question I love to ask guys about their first day when they're thinking back about day 1. Look at the arms, they're pumping already. Good. So, did you have any thoughts as you were driving here to turn around and go home?
No, I was pretty motivated to get started.
Yep. Can you think back to what your main motivator was? Was it something external or was it an internal inspiration?
Internal, I just wanted better for myself.
Yep.
Mainly my mental health. I needed an outlet, and what I was doing wasn't working previously. So
cool. Fantastic, man. So have you got a favourite exercise in the gym now?
I like bench press.
Bench press, yeah.
Anything to do with biceps.
Yeah.
I like most of them. To be honest, push-ups are kind of cool now. I don't mind doing push-ups. I did them when I started though.
Yeah. How did you feel when you hit a push-up on hands and feet for the first time?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself in the gym.
Yeah.
What you can push yourself to.
Yeah.
How much pain you can tolerate.
Yeah.
How good it is to feel strong.
Yeah.
And to just be achieving goals and winning and succeeding at something.
Yeah.
And
What do you think your biggest win is since you've been training?
Consistency.
Consistency?
It's just something, I've stuck at it 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And I've hurt myself in the gym before.
Yeah.
Go back after day 1.
Yep.
I've joined gyms and just slacked off, just done the treadmill for a bit.
Yep.
So to be doing something this intense almost every day for 2.5 years.
Yep.
Pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Awesome. I like that. Nailed it. So on those times where you've failed or you've missed days or anything like that, like what kind of goes through your head when you do miss, a day or a week of training?
I'm good with that. I'm good with missing a day or two. I've learnt to listen to my body, which is something that training has taught me.
Yeah, of course.
You're a little bit more connected to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're more connected to things like breathing.
Yep. Are you breathing right now?
Not quite as much. But you just learn to listen to your body, but also knowing, and like I said, you get to know yourself better.
Yep.
So I know when I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like I could have gone and I didn't.
Yep.
And if I do this too much, I'm going to impact this as being a lifestyle thing.
Yep.
So I need to get back into it, and I love it.
Yeah.
So
you end up missing it, right?
you do.
Yeah.
You miss it. It's addictive.
Yeah. It's the best addiction you can have, man.
But it's a great addiction. I mean, you get clarity of mind.
Yeah.
You feel fitter and healthier.
Yeah.
You're in a better mood more often than not.
Yeah.
You don't get as sick as often.
Yeah.
You get to share something with a group of people, like-minded friends and community.
Yeah.
It's addictive, but it's in a good way. So you don't want to be away from it for too long, but you've got to give yourself a break as well. And your body sometimes does need to rest, but you do miss it, so you get back into it pretty quickly.
That's right.
What about for you? What's it like?
So I think when the term addiction comes around, obviously there's people that, will go and spend money on cars. We've got one of our members, her son does, drag racing and burnouts and all that sort of shit, which is fantastic. It's a passion of his and things like that, which is great. You hear about the money he has to pour into that addiction. It is unreal. You then think of the word addiction when it comes to, drug use and shit like that, and the bad and the negative and whatever. And you can see how people can pour their life and soul into something. And a lot of the time it's because the brain's being altered by whatever substance they're on. So, and it can be something as non-illegal as alcohol, right? Like I literally have people every week coming in talking about alcohol and issues they have with it, and they can never give it up. And Fridays has to include alcohol. Like I hang out with my friends on a Saturday, have to have beers and wine, like just because we're catching up. And it's like you start to dig a bit deeper and you realize that they pour so much energy into that addiction, right? And they'll happily, call it an addiction. They're quite happy with that. But as soon as you start talking about, okay, what if you became addicted to being better? What if you became addicted to helping others? What if you became addicted to like some positivity for a change, right? And this is where you start to ask those, brutally honest questions that the everyday Joe has just never asked themselves, or they've never been asked by someone who is in that better state, who is, training regularly, who does eat regularly well, good meals and all that sort of stuff, who doesn't rely on alcohol to fix all their issues and stuff like that. So again, the addiction side of thing I totally relate to. I think it's fantastic. Like me, whenever I miss a session, I feel like fucking dog shit. Like I'm just being honest, like, because you just have that thing in the back of my head now that's just like, well, could we have moved today? Could we have at least gone for that 30-minute walk? Could I have gone down the beach for a quick swim? Like, could I have done some push-ups at home, like, because I'm not doing heavy weights today? Like, there's all these things that now are benefits, right? I still remember day one at the academy, like doing my Cert 3 and 4 up in the city and for fitness. And, the number one thing we started with was like, all right, guys, here's the chalkboard, benefits, and what's the opposite of benefits? Fuck, I've gone blank on that one. What do we call it, Ange?
I don't know. I got blank too. Clarity of mind with all this exercise.
Cool. Benefits versus non-benefits, whatever. Pros versus cons. There we go. Pros versus
consequences.
Cons. Yeah, consequences. That's right. So
we're just so optimistic. We can't think of negative words anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So again, another benefit. So like the pros side of things, like we had people, and it was literally just put your hand up and shout stuff out the board. Like feel better, energy, sleep better, mood improvement, all these sorts of things, get stronger, be able to play with kids, like all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden the cons was like, I think it was about 5 or 6 things, right? This, like, I still visually in my head, it was such a strong image to see that on a basic blackboard in a learning room, right? Where there was like 30 to 40 of us in there and one instructor. And that instructor was literally just writing the whole time. He didn't give us any cues. It was literally just people, when they got asked the question, what is a pro of exercising and eating better versus a consequence of eating better? I think there was like 3 things, right? Versus like probably close to 50 from memory. And it's like, why wouldn't you get addicted to that? Because there's so many other ripple effects and flow-on effects. And, I think that leads into my next question for you, which is like, how do you feel when someone walks up to you and they go, man, you inspired me to take my first step? Like that's like, you can't beat that feeling. I don't care who you are. You could be the most wealthiest person on planet Earth, but if you have never inspired someone else to be better or to increase their own wealth, now whether it's, physical and mental wealth, or money wealth, like, if you've never inspired someone to do that in your entire life, I can guarantee you don't feel good inside. Like it's just how it is. It's how we operate as humans. We love to help others, but we also are pretty good at ripping each other down. And it's like when you can focus on that addiction of helping someone be better and rise them up, fuck, you're unstoppable. Like, and that's the shit. You can hear the passion fire me up, but that's what I bring to my guys in here every day. And Ange, to be honest, blowing my own horn, but I think that's why you're where you're at, because you had someone like me to rock up to. And again, I'm not the only coach that talks this way. There's heaps of them out there. But if you can find someone in your area that is like just able to motivate you, pick you up off your ass every now and then, and just get you to take that first step, but take that first step every week, you've won the game. So, Ange, as a busy mum, how many kids you got? 15?
2.
2? Yeah, all right. Would you ever have 15?
Nope.
No, of course not. What a silly thing to say. As a busy mum of 2, You've obviously got a high-powered job. You've been working in for how long?
That was 4 years.
4 years. Cool. Awesome. We'll talk about what's coming next later on. How did you find a way to make fitness work for you? Now I'm talking about like, how did you get it to fit into your day, not you have to fit into fitness?
I think one of the main things was obviously working out a schedule or a routine. That wouldn't mean I had to shift everything else in my life, because if I had to shift other things, I wouldn't have been able to sustain it. So thankfully, like, there was classes on at 5:30 in the morning, and I wasn't an early riser by any means. But I knew that time would allow me to get home, give my husband enough time to do his gym or to organise himself for work as well and get the kids ready, and then get the kids off to school. So it wasn't interfering with anything else that I had, so I could just add it into my day.
Yeah, nice.
To get up at 5:30 in the morning is whole new thing. So I think the first thing I tried, I got up like an hour earlier. So the alarm went off at 4:15. Got up, had some breakfast, and then had some pre-workout or a coffee. Actually, at the beginning, I couldn't eat breakfast in the morning, so it was just a coffee. And then I'd get here, and over time, I started learning a little bit more about nutrition, and started playing around with, how close could I leave it to the wire before I had to get up. And then, sometimes a couple of times slightly running a bit late. So just testing a lot of different ways of, how I could get a little bit more sleep in. But my main goal through it all, because it's really hard when you wake up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to go, oh yeah, I feel like lifting 20 kilos above my head. That's the first thing that'll stop you from getting out of bed. So instead it was like, I just have to get there. The only thing I hold myself accountable to is getting there. So just go through the motions of getting dressed, throwing something down the tube, and getting there. Nice. I can always turn around and come home, but I give myself a gold star for walking through the door. What I do after that, don't care. I just move my body. That's the only thing I'm doing here.
Have you got a wall chart covered in gold stars at home?
Lots of them. Pat it on my back. I literally give myself a mental pat on the back. I'm like, I got through the door. Because that was the challenge for me. It wasn't necessarily exercise. It was literally building something into my life. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I could skip today. But I was like, no, what I want is a lifestyle change. I don't want to lose 5 kilos in 2 weeks and then be done. I want a lifestyle change. I want this to be part of my routine. So that was the goal. And if I, got here and just moved my body, that was great. If I got here and achieved a personal best, even better. But it's just getting through the front door. So, and I give that story to so many other people that say the same thing, especially when we're doing group classes and you lift really heavy compared to someone else, and they go, geez, how do you do that? And it's like, I did it today, but tomorrow I'll go half of that just to move my body. So, just get through the door is my advice to anybody that wants to actually shift their lifestyle.
How long did it, out of curiosity, how long did it feel for you that it took before it was just routine? Because it didn't happen week 1, did it?
No, and this is the thing about habits, right? Some people say 30 days to change a habit. It's not necessarily the case. For some people, it'll be 28 days, 30 days, 2 weeks. Some people, it'll be 6 months to a year before something becomes a habit. And it could take 2 weeks to undo that habit. So everyone's an individual, and it takes time to build habit. For me, I don't think it really became routine until that 7 or 8 month mark, where I didn't really have to think about it so much. It was just, I was waking up at that time naturally. I was not even thinking through, I don't want to go in. There was a couple of days, but for the majority, like 6 out of the 7 days, it was just get up, get moving, get there, and then I'll think about the rest later. And that's when I realised this is lifestyle now. This is just part of my routine. And when you don't going, I really feel like going, or I'll definitely going back tomorrow, sort of thing. That's when you know it's a habit. But I knew for me it'd be very easy for me to convince myself out of it. So I didn't let myself go too long between sessions, or if we had a week holiday or whatever, I still went and did something at the park. So it took me a long time to form the habit, but that's why I knew just getting through the front door was actually my challenge.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
Yes.
How good is Pantene Pro V? No, I'm just joking. Awesome. So we smashed out a good workout. Cheers for that, Ange. A couple more questions before we sign off for the day. Obviously, we've looked at, what was day 1 like, and like what does a normal day look like now, how you fitted, fitness into your life, which is fantastic. Because again, we want to look at that, long-term lifestyle change. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it's the shit that actually works. And I suppose, what's it like being a healthy, fit mum now when you've obviously got young kids? Because how old are your boys?
They're 10 and 8.
Yeah, sweet. So I mean, they're obviously getting to that kind of age level where potentially they could go either way of like, oh, I want to train like mum and dad do, or be involved in sports, or just be active. How do you find that goes now that you've kind of got that persona that you give off that, I do train, it's part of my life, it's just what I do. It's no longer I think in your terms, it's not an ego shout or, hey, look at me, I train all the time. It's like, well, this is just part of who I am now. So like, do you find that's already having a ripple effect with the kids?
Yeah, and I think something that you said before about influencing others and that sort of thing, I didn't do it initially to influence others. It was more just, I didn't like my mental state and how I was handling life, and I wanted better for myself in order to have better for my kids and my family and to get the most out of life. So that's why I initially, sort of joined up and started trying to make this a lifestyle thing. And then I started to see these different shifts in my kids as well. And to be honest, it was, when I reflect back, there was a lot more conversation from the kids around alcohol. So, I'll get a beer from the fridge, or do you want me to get you a beer from the fridge or something? Or, witnessing buying, bottles of gin and things like that. And it wasn't like a problem. It was just a drink after work or drinks on the weekend, but it was a conversation that was in my children's repertoire of conversations. And now it's the kids talk about protein and macros, and they talk about, oh, you go to the gym now, and they lift weights and stuff like that. They pick them up and try and do bicep curls, and just knowing that that's a huge part of their view of the world. And we've now, because my husband started to go to the gym after me as well. He used to years ago, but he hadn't. I started going to the gym first.
He's shredded, by the way. Yeah.
Very jealous.
Shout out to Keith. Yeah.
Very jealous how easy it is for him. But he, 6 months after me going, he started getting up and going to the gym as well. And the change and shift in his view of life and what he is now into, and how much alcohol he sort of reduced as well, was just amazing. And not that he's had his own motivations, but I like to think I've played a little bit of a part in
damn
that.
Straight. You need to own that shit, right? And it's, again, as a mum, you're always putting everyone else first, and a dad, you're always putting people first. So like, to own something like that is go, fuck, I had a direct involvement, because you have.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably your biggest win since you've been here. Yes, you've done good lifts and all that sort of stuff, but now that you can go and train by yourself and pretty much train wherever. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a 24-hour gym, a big box gym, you're on the East Coast, you're in New York, whatever. Like, you have a set of skills now that you're never going to lose.
Yeah, right? And I think that's one of the things I learned. So like I was saying before, I've been to a gym before. I think 6 months after I had my second son, I was like, I need to get fit and healthy, And I went to a gym and I hurt my back straight out within the first session. And I had a back spasm sort of thing, couldn't go back for 6 months, and it completely put me off. So it wasn't until Jake my youngest was 6, that I joined a gym again. So 6 years that put me off for. And coming here and learning the basics basically, and how to set up, how to breathe, how to listen to your body before you lift, how to lift light in order to be able to lift heavy. Like, that's given me a knowledge base that I can now take anywhere and do anything with. It's actually better than any manual handling training I've ever received from work. I'm really conscious of my lower back and how to lift properly, and really you cringe when you sort of see people throwing themselves around and you go, oh. But even back to the sort of influencing thing, so many more conversations with people, like they're like, you get up at 5:30 in the morning, and you go, yeah, this is how I do that. And so many people from my work joined the gym as well from that. You've met quite a few of them now, and it's for some of them,
they're all crazy, by the way.
I only send you the crazy
ones.
And while some of them, they might have done it for 6 months, for 6 weeks, for a year or whatever, they've still moved on to other things. Fitness has become a part of their life now as well. It just takes different forms for them. So just seeing that happen, and then talking to friends and family about how easy it is and how much it's not an excuse, and how I hear myself in them from years ago sort of saying, oh, I wouldn't even walk down to the coffee shop, I'd drive. And it's like, yeah, I used to do that too, and it wasn't helpful. Like now, I can still drive to the thing, but down to the coffee shop, but be able to do these workouts and showing people how easy it is to incorporate into life. just, diminishes some of those excuses, and to be able to see other people flourish has been something I wasn't expecting, but it's really cool to see.
Nice. So I suppose probably in closing, what's next for Ange and the gang?
Well, so part of, the last couple of years of really tuning into what makes us feel good in life, and both Keith and I sort of, knowing that the gym's, really helped us with that, going into work and seeing how stressful life is, and just sort of going, we want a little bit more of that, especially before our kids get old enough to move on and have their own lives, and we want to spend a bit more time with them. We decided we wanted to travel Australia, so we sold everything that we own, have a very small amount of stuff in storage. We just sold the house, everything, and we've got a caravan, and as of a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we moved into it. So we're going to travel the country and try and pick up some work and try and work out new ways of exercising while on the road. Again, there's ways to do it. So we've got some resistance bands. You've got obviously body weight that you can do, and some TRX row stuff. So some playgrounds we could probably do some chin-ups on. And so we'll keep the exercise going. But yeah, travel the country and just make the absolute most of this time that we have. So that's what's next.
And yeah, like I said, this is a huge step, which is fantastic. So hats off to you. It's really, really cool. And I think, yeah, like I said, the great thing is you can now take the skill of training with you wherever you go. So even if it is a workout in a park, or people are looking at you fucking weird on park benches doing dips and shit, again, your ripple effect is so powerful now that it's not only going to affect your family, because I can 110% guarantee you that there will be at least one person in the next 12 months, let alone 5 years, that is going to be like, I started showing up because Anne showed me. Or Ange, I hung out with her enough in my environment or my circle of people. Because again, we're all, subjects of our environment. We're all affected by it, influenced by it. And I think the cool thing is you have an environment that you can now take with you, and people, when they step into that, they're like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, and I think that inspiration side of it comes from being able to see what's possible. So, seeing, coming to a gym like this, it never felt possible for me because I'd never known enough about it, but being able to walk in and, there's so many women in the gym now. I've been doing some training because we're moving around in that, so I find a gym whenever we get into a town that we can. And so I was going
Can we call you a hermit yet? Because you're just kind of cruising around. Sorry, a nomad, I say, one of the grey nomads. No, not grey.
Only grey.
Yeah.
But going into gyms now and seeing women in the weightlifting section, and I just think, sometimes I walk in and go, I just want to go up to them and say thank you for being here, because cutting that norm of being able to be a female in a weightlifting section makes it possible for everybody else to do the same. And so, sometimes it takes a bit of courage when, it's all men in that section to just walk in and own it and know what you're doing, and know that you've got that training and know you're there for you. But it opens up the door for other people as well. So, and that's for all different, demographics and people wanting to train. There was an old lady, she would have been in her 70s, in the weight section. I was like, this is brilliant. This is what we need. We need a lot more of this normalisation of working out for health and for well-being rather than just physiques. And
well, I think it's also training, not just exercise. So training for a purpose and a goal shouldn't just be a male-dominated thing.
Yeah.
And again, we're not going to dive into being a feminist and all that sort of stuff, because again, we want to keep it positive and lighthearted and that. But again, the message is still there that every motherfucking human on the planet, whether they're male, female, she, him, them, whatever you want to call yourself these days, again, that's totally up to you. I respect all that stuff. But it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you should have the opportunity to at least have a crack at being better. And if that involves training a couple of times a week and you move your body by walking every day, you've seen the results I've had with my guys, both in here and online clients and stuff. And it all starts with just becoming aware of the fact that you are actually okay to do this. You are capable, and
you're allowed to.
Yeah.
There's no one saying you can't. I had an old lady come up to me and say, I don't feel like I should be in this class because everybody's faster than me and can lift heavier than me. It was a class that I joined. And I just said, are you kidding? I said, I love that you're in this class. It inspires me as well. And because she didn't feel old enough to be in the seniors class. And I said, you've got to get rid of that, because we've all got something that we're going to use as a barrier or as an excuse not to belong somewhere. And I think something you just a lot of things you say around going, you know, when you're doing squats with the bar or deadlifts, just walk up and own it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a competition. It's
Have
about
a bit
you.
of mongrel about you.
Yeah. It's what gets you through. It's that grit that gets you through, and you absolutely belong in those spaces.
Fantastic, man. Well, I'm excited to see where it all goes. Angie's going to be starting her own YouTube channel with the family. Have you started that yet?
I've got content. I haven't uploaded anything yet.
Okay. But have you got a channel?
Yes, we've got a channel.
Okay, so it's all there?
Yeah, it's
ready to go?
Yeah, it
fantastic.
Should be up even, yeah.
Sweet. So obviously check below, guys. Obviously I'll leave the links and all that sort of stuff to Angie's content in the description below. So make sure you go and check that out. Throw her a follow, guys. You've obviously seen how inspiring her story is. It's not about me anymore. It's about all the people I'm helping, which is fantastic. And that's why we have these conversations. Thanks for training with us today. And we tried out a new thing. And yeah, we'll have to do this more often. I think it's fucking great. So. Awesome, guys. This has been Chasing Better with Noxie and Ange today. And yeah, we'll hopefully have you on again in future. Zoom call from somewhere in Australia. Yeah, with like flies hanging around you and all that sort of stuff out in the bush or whatever. So
resistance bands.
Resistance bands are going to get a workout. So awesome, guys. That's us signing off, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Great. Thanks so much. Cheers.
All right.